The moving truck arrived just after sunrise, but the man who stepped out looked nothing like someone beginning a hopeful new chapter. He wore a faded baseball cap pulled low over his face, dark sunglasses even though the morning sky was still soft with pale golden light, and a tired expression that seemed far older than his years. He unloaded only a few boxes, an old wooden chair, and 3 overflowing laundry baskets stuffed with wrinkled clothes. Every shirt was inside out, every towel looked forgotten, and socks spilled across the driveway as though he had given up trying to keep life together. Across the quiet suburban street, a single mother watched from her porch while holding a mug of coffee. She had no idea the mysterious stranger next door wasn't hiding from debt, heartbreak, or failure. He was hiding from an entire world that wouldn't stop chasing him. If you believe kindness can change a life and that everyone deserves a second chance, please take a moment to like this video, comment where you're watching from, share this story with someone you care about, and subscribe to channel name. Your support helps more heartfelt stories reach people who need them most. The neighborhood was peaceful during the daytime. Children rode bicycles beneath blooming trees, delivery vans rolled through the streets, and neighbors greeted each other while watering flower beds. It was the kind of place where nothing dramatic ever seemed to happen. That was exactly why the mysterious newcomer had chosen it. His name was Corwin Hale, though nobody around Maple Crest Lane knew it. They simply called him the quiet man in the blue house. Every morning he hung laundry outside, and every afternoon the wind scattered socks across the lawn. Sometimes shirts remained on the clothesline until late evening because he forgot they were there. Other days he accidentally mixed whites with bright colors, leaving everything strangely pink or faded purple. The neighborhood whispered that he clearly had never learned how to do laundry properly. The only person who didn't laugh was Maris Rowan. Maris was 32 years old, raising her 8-year-old son, Theo, alone after losing her husband to a sudden illness 4 years earlier. Since then every sunrise had begun with responsibility instead of hope. She balanced 2 part-time jobs, packed school lunches, fixed broken faucets herself, and somehow still found enough energy to smile whenever Theo looked at her. The smile wasn't always real, but it was always for him. Life had taught Maris that people rarely revealed their real struggles. She knew what it felt like to appear strong while silently carrying unbearable weight. So instead of judging the strange neighbor whose clothes looked permanently wrinkled, she simply assumed he was overwhelmed. Over the following weeks she noticed little things that didn't fit together. Expensive black SUVs occasionally drove slowly through the neighborhood before disappearing. Unfamiliar people stood at the end of the street pretending to check their phones while secretly watching the blue house. Corwin always waited until they left before stepping outside. Even then, he kept his head lowered as though the sunlight itself might recognize him. Maris wondered if he had escaped a painful divorce or a dangerous job. Whatever his story was, she respected his privacy. One bright Saturday morning Theo chased a soccer ball that bounced directly into Corwin's yard. The boy hesitated at the gate before knocking softly. A few seconds later Corwin opened the door holding a basket overflowing with tangled towels. Theo returned home smiling, carrying not only the soccer ball but also a homemade paper airplane Corwin had folded while searching for it. From that day on, Theo waved every morning. Corwin eventually waved back. It was a tiny beginning, almost invisible, but loneliness often ends one small gesture at a time. Maris baked extra blueberry muffins the following weekend and walked them next door under the excuse that she had made too many. Corwin accepted them with awkward gratitude. His house looked surprisingly empty inside. There were no family photographs, no decorations, no television playing in the background. Only stacks of books, a battered coffee maker, and laundry waiting to be folded. She noticed something else. Every curtain remained tightly closed. The following days settled into a gentle rhythm. Theo sometimes helped gather runaway socks from the yard. Maris occasionally left homemade meals at Corwin's doorstep when she knew he had been working late. In return, Corwin quietly repaired the broken fence between their properties without ever mentioning it. Neither of them realized they were slowly stitching together pieces of lives that had been torn apart in different ways. Corwin laughed more often around Theo than he had in years. The child's endless curiosity reminded him of a world untouched by headlines and cameras. They built birdhouses one afternoon beneath the warm daylight, painted flowerpots another day, and spent long hours trying unsuccessfully to grow tomatoes in the small backyard. For the first time in what felt like forever, Corwin forgot to look over his shoulder every few minutes. But the past rarely stays lost. One ordinary Tuesday morning, several unfamiliar vehicles appeared outside the neighborhood entrance. Men carrying cameras stepped onto the sidewalk while speaking urgently into phones. Within minutes more arrived. Maris watched from her kitchen window as flashes from camera lenses reflected beneath the afternoon sun. The peaceful street transformed into chaos. Neighbors gathered outside, confused by the sudden attention. Corwin froze inside his house. His hands trembled so violently that an armful of freshly folded laundry slipped onto the floor. Years earlier he had been one of the country's most beloved actors. Every interview, every public appearance, every smile had become front-page news. Then came a devastating family tragedy followed by relentless rumors that twisted grief into entertainment. Reporters camped outside hospitals. Photographers followed funerals. Strangers invented stories because pain attracted attention. Eventually Corwin disappeared. He sold everything. Changed cities. Changed routines. Changed almost everything except the memories that followed him everywhere. Maple Crest Lane had been his attempt to become invisible. Now invisibility was over. News spread through the neighborhood within hours. Suddenly everyone who had laughed about the laundry understood why strangers had been watching. Some neighbors rushed outside hoping for photographs. Others simply stared. Maris didn't. She quietly walked next door carrying a basket. Without saying anything unnecessary, she picked up the scattered shirts and began folding them carefully across the kitchen table while Corwin sat silently, unable to steady his breathing. It wasn't really about laundry. It was about reminding someone they weren't facing the storm alone. That afternoon she closed every curtain in the house before leaving. Outside, cameras continued waiting. Inside, peace returned one folded towel at a time. Over the following week Maris helped shield Theo from the growing excitement while refusing interviews herself. Reporters knocked on her door repeatedly asking what the famous actor was like. She declined every request. Not because she wanted secrecy. Because kindness isn't something meant to be traded for attention. Corwin noticed. For perhaps the first time since becoming famous decades earlier, someone treated him like an ordinary neighbor instead of a headline. The walls around his heart slowly weakened. Soon he began helping Theo with school projects, fixing bicycles around the neighborhood, and volunteering quietly at the community library during daytime reading sessions for children. Without cameras, he remembered who he truly was. Without expectations, he rediscovered joy. Months passed. The reporters disappeared. The blue house finally looked lived in. Fresh flowers bloomed beneath the front windows. Curtains stayed open. Laughter drifted across the fence during warm afternoons. One evening Maris admitted to herself that healing sometimes arrived wearing ordinary clothes and carrying wrinkled laundry. Not every hero entered life with dramatic speeches. Some simply remembered to help collect fallen socks. Before we reach the ending, we'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment with the words, "Kindness still exists," if you believe one simple act of compassion can completely change someone's life. The following spring the annual neighborhood picnic filled the local park with families, music, and sunshine. Corwin attended without sunglasses, without hiding beneath a cap, and without fear. No one rushed him. No one demanded photographs. They simply welcomed their neighbor. Theo proudly introduced him as the funniest adult he knew. Maris smiled through tears. Because healing wasn't loud. It was patient. It arrived one ordinary day after another until the broken pieces no longer felt broken. Corwin eventually admitted that when he first moved into the blue house, he believed he would never trust people again. The world had taught him that fame could steal privacy, peace, and even hope. But one exhausted single mother had unknowingly reminded him that goodness still existed in quiet neighborhoods where people noticed lonely hearts before they noticed famous faces. And Maris discovered something equally important. Strength didn't always mean carrying every burden alone. Sometimes strength meant allowing trustworthy people to stand beside you. The strange man who seemed terrible at laundry had never really needed lessons about washing clothes. He simply needed a place where nobody expected perfection. He needed neighbors who saw a human being instead of a celebrity. He needed a child who waved every morning without asking for anything in return. Most of all, he needed someone who chose compassion over curiosity. That choice changed everything. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who believes in kindness, leave a heartfelt comment, and subscribe to channel name. Your support allows stories like this to continue inspiring people around the world. Sometimes the greatest miracles don't arrive with applause or headlines. Sometimes they begin with a basket of wrinkled laundry, a warm smile across a fence, and one person willing to believe that everyone deserves another chance to feel at home.